Hey kids, this is Ivan. How you doing? I had a great experience today. I had a discussion with a friend of mine, this guy Brian. We're both members of an RPG Techniques consortium, if you will, and we had a disagreement. It was an argument. It was very civil. We had a civil discussion. It turns out we disagreed about something, and by talking for a few hours, just back and forth via posts in this group, we were able to come up, or kind of uncover, ferret out, a deeper source of our disagreement. And I think both of us, as we amicably parted ways from the discussion, went away with a deeper appreciation, if not for the other fellow's viewpoint, at least for why our viewpoints were different. So I want to invite you to go down this rabbit hole with me for a little bit. And understand that this discussion is not about I'm right and Brian's wrong. It's that we have different perspectives. And I want to see maybe if you identify with either of these perspectives and what you think about the whole thing. So if you watch my channel for any length of time, you've heard me talk about the fact that I like an in-character experience. I like to play as if the world is real, my character is real, and then I step into the shoes of that character and make decisions. I make choices as the character. What would I do in this situation? Why? What does this character want? Who are they? All those sort of things. I try to inhabit them as if they were a real person and the world was real. So at some point where we're talking about something completely different, Brian in one sentence says character arc and in-character experience. I say, well, wait a minute. I would argue that, in fact, these things have nothing to do with each other. And so Brian said, go ahead, argue. And so it was on. So the first thing I talked to him about was the idea that for me, an in-character experience is very in the moment. It's right where my feet are. I am the character. What do I want? What would I do in this situation? Who am I? What are my fears? What are my goals? What are my motivations? Where, as a character arc, you're looking more at the big picture. Why is this person here? What purpose do they serve? What purpose do they serve in the story, in the setting? What should they do in a broader sense? And thinking about that for a second, Brian quipped back, well, these things are actually the same thing. Who am I? What do I want? What am I afraid of? What are my motivations? This is all about, what should this character do? What is their purpose? And so I didn't see eye to eye with him on that. I was kind of confused. I think we were both confused. Why is this guy not getting it? So we talked a little bit more about that, and as we discussed things, and forgive me, I'm looking off screen onto some of these actual notes, the things that we actually said to each other. Brian started to talk about the idea that that there should be an arc. I'm saying, well, no, the arc has nothing to do with in-character play. The character may, in fact, change who they are, but they may remain static. Neither of those are goals. They are simply possibilities. When we look back, when we read that transcript of the actual events, including how the character changed or didn't change, if my main goal is to have an in-character experience as the character, living in the moment, all that kind of stuff, then whether or not we had an arc, whether or not the character changed, all that sort of stuff, that's secondary to the actual intention of playing in character. At that point, Brian said, well, wait a minute. If you are saying that you want to play in a living, dynamic world, well, that also means that you should be playing a living, dynamic character. And he said, well, I don't want to be playing a caricature, somebody that's going to remain flat and two-dimensional and static. There should be some dynamic element to this character. And at this point, we were kind of at loggerheads. We were talking past each other a little bit. And, he talked about the idea, when he plays in character, he wants to be able to have an effect on the world, but he wants the world to be able to have an effect on him as well. To me, I was still saying, man, these are just possibilities. And so, I clarified, too, as a friend, as our friend Marco jumped in for a second, that, to me, I'm not talking about the character arc being pre-planned. I mean, to me, that is a complete anathema. It's more that there has to be an arc. And as we talk to each other a little bit more, got to this point where I said, well, take these examples for a second. Let's say I play a character in a Ubiquity-powered game. Let's say I play Hollow Earth Expedition, and I play two different characters. I play one character, and he has values, he has beliefs, he has motivations, and during the course of play, these are tested. And the character doesn't change. He remains stalwart. He sticks to, despite the fact that he has his beliefs and his core being challenged, he emerges from the story, whatever it is, the campaign. He's still the same guy. He really hasn't changed. He's had these tested. They've been tested, and he's been found not wanting. You know what I mean. Okay. Then I play another guy in Hollow Earth Expedition, another Ubiquity game, right? And this time, this character has his beliefs, his values tested, and he does undergo a change. I discover in play that this character has had a change of heart about some things. I can give you real examples. Playing Philippe Moreau in All for One Regime Diabolique, that character has changed a little bit. I didn't anticipate. I didn't know whether he was going to change or not. I found out in the moment as we played, as I stepped into his shoes, especially during that last solo session that Francois ran for me. He changed. He changed to me unexpectedly as things happened, and I put myself in his shoes. What would Philippe do in this particular moment? Son of a gun, he's changed here. Other events didn't change him at all. So, got those two examples, right? Then say I play a character in the Veil, and I'm not knocking the Veil. This is just a belief-based game that I in fact am playing, and I need to run again soon as a part of our experiment with Same Old G and Runeslinger. However, I play this character in the Veil. Here, the expectation is that I have beliefs, and they will be challenged, and part of the core element, one of the core elements of play is that I am to have these beliefs resolved, and some of these beliefs will be overthrown. This is something I know is going to happen. There is going to be a character arc that's part of the game, and there are a lot of other games that are like belief-based in some way, shape, or form where that's part of the play, is that you are going to have a character that is going to change. It's not pre-planned. You don't necessarily know how they're going to change, but you know it's going to change. I said, well, see, that's a difference. Here's where it got really, really interesting. Brian said, well, I don't understand. Because you're telling me you can play this character in this Ubiquity-based game where the character changes during the course of play, as you're making these in-character decisions in the moment. But you can have this other game where there's supposed to be an arc. Because remember, in like All for One Regime Diabolique, Hollow Earth Expedition, nothing says you have to have a character arc. You just create a character. You get style for playing up their motivations and flaws and all this kind of stuff, right? Now I'm playing the Veil or some other game, and it says it's supposed to happen. And Brian says, well, wait a minute. If the character changes here in All for One Regime Diabolique, right, or the character in the Veil changes, even though it's supposed to change in the Veil, but you're making these decisions in the moment, how is that different? That's the same thing. And I smiled. I read it a few times. I said, Brian, I think I've discovered the core of our disagreement here. And this is where it got really interesting. Is that Brian can't understand why I don't see that those two scenarios are the same, or I can't understand why he doesn't see that they are manifestly entirely different. How about that? And that, I found, was the real source of our disagreement. Is that, for me, and I'm not saying this is better, this is just part of my intention that I bring to the table. One of the final things I quipped to him, I'm not sure if he read this one either, but I said, take this example, real life. I, as a person, I started out with values and beliefs. When I was 20, I believed things that I no longer believe now. I had values that I no longer have now. I have transformed over time. I know other friends of mine, my age, and they've remained stalwart and like rocks the entire time. The two of us have lived our life, our real lives, in character. We have had the in-character experience, a genuine, for real, in-character experience in the moment, despite the fact that I've had a dynamic ride through life, and my other friend has remained pretty much the same as he was when he was 15 years old. Does one of us have a superior experience? And then I quipped, Brian, well, look at it this way. And I'm interested to see what his answer is, because I don't think he's seen this. I think he had to go to work. Picture yourself right now with the beliefs you have, your core beliefs, the things that you feel really strongly about, the things that you would get into arguments with people about at a dinner party or on Facebook, that sort of thing, the things you really believe. Now, imagine that you realize that there's a possibility some years down the road that some of these beliefs might change, might be altered. Doesn't seem likely because you believe them really strongly. Think about yourself right now. You believe these things really strongly, but you're open to the possibility that maybe these things might change. Now consider the same scenario. It's you. You have these same core beliefs. This time, you know without beyond a shadow of a doubt that some of these will change. Some of these will change drastically. You just don't know which ones, and you don't know when. How would you view life at that point? And to me, that sums up the big difference between a character arc, an expected character arc, and the in-character experience. To me, having that, just a knowledge that this is supposed to happen, it's going to happen at some point. The details are unclear, how it happens are unclear, but it's supposed to happen. It should happen. To me, that feels very contrived and artificial, and yanks me immediately out of the in-character experience. So, thank you for going down the rabbit hole with me. I hope you enjoyed that, and I'd like to hear your impressions, your feedback on all that.